Thanks for stopping by. I'd like to preface this video by saying it is not a knitting tutorial, but a means to have something playing in the background while you work on your own knitting project. If you're like me and really enjoy YouTube, you find that a lot of the content you like to watch is very visually engaging, and you're several hours in and haven't gotten nearly as far in your knitting as you would have liked to. So my video channel is a solution to that. Now, today, if you are a first-time watcher, this is part of my Knit Ahead for the Holidays series, in which I have been pushing myself to finish all of my holiday projects before the December cutoff to have them mailed to my friends and family. So this is a few episodes in. I believe we're on our 13th episode now at the filming of this video, so thank you for stopping in. And for today's episode, I'm going to continue working on my TAM from the Hats On pattern book that was gifted to me by one of my coworkers. And I would like to excuse the noise in the background because it's very hot today and I am about to melt, but very soon after I finish filming I'm going to install the AC, though it is not going to be in this room. It's going to be downstairs in the living room. So bear with me while I work ahead on this project. So let me show you the pattern book. It is Hats On, and the author is Charlene Church. See that there? And I'll link to the ISBN, or I keep saying link. I'll provide the ISBN in the description box so that if you're interested in picking up this book, you are welcome to do so. It is not in print anymore, so you'll have to find a vendor that has resale, or check out half-price books or your local library, or visit some thrift stores or yard sales to see if somebody has this book available. There's a lot of different color work patterns inside, and all of the instructional photos are black and white, and there are a few color photos of the models wearing the hats and just some of the hats themselves. So mostly black and white. It's a mid-late 90s published pattern book. So here I am in my knitting. You'll see I have, sorry about the lighting, I have completed my 1x1 rib. I also had to cast on in a rib stitch, and you'll see in my previous episode I talk about that and how that went. But I'm knitting the medium size of the pattern book, and after you do an inch for this size of the pattern, after you've knit an inch of rib, then you start to increase to make the kind of the balloony part of the tam. So I believe in my other video I said it's increase each stitch. I was wrong. It's knit one and then KFB. The next knit one, KFB, and that is your increase round. And then you begin to work evenly. So just stockinette stitch all the way around until I get to the measured length I need. Now you'll see I have maybe a little less than an inch of the stockinette right now, and I need a lot of it more. So for this video we'll just chat and keep knitting in a circle until I have completed what I need. But considering how long this video is not going to be, and the fact that I need to put the AC in before, I think there's a storm rolling in later on tonight, and I want to make sure it's in and secure and the window is all sealed up before that starts. And I'm hot, so this will probably be closer to a 30-minute or maybe even less than that. So if you're thinking, oh, how long am I going to have to sit here? Obviously you'll see the duration of the video, but right now I can imagine it being longer than 30 minutes for today. And it is Friday, by the way. If you're watching my video before this, I was hoping to knit yesterday on the 4th of July, but I ended up not because, one, it was hot again, and two, I ended up going around town and things like that, and I just didn't think it was a good time. By the time I got home, to film and edit and all that stuff. Plus the heat. The heat really, for one, or the most important thing, was that I was melting again. So I have a fan on now, but it's not doing too much for me. So I ended up taking advantage of a coupon to a restaurant yesterday that my partner and I really like, and we hadn't been there in a long time, at least together. I think they've snuck away a few times for like lunch breaks and hanging out with friends, but it's been a long time since I've gone. And we had some burgers and shakes, and it was actually really crowded in the restaurant, and I was super surprised because I had assumed everybody would be grilling or, out enjoying the weather. I'm personally not a outside type of gal, and just I don't have a grill or a lot of local friends that had any plans for the day, since a lot of us did have to go to work the next day, me included. So it wasn't really like a super go all out kind of day, but I was really surprised how busy the restaurant was. And today was pretty dead at work. So it was kind of nice in a way because it's starting to get busy in a way that I need to prepare for the fall term where I work, and there's a lot of stuff I have to process to make sure everything's ready for that time period. And so I've been working with a couple of the people at my job to get everything kind of set up. And at the same time, the folks that I hired just for the summer, I had to redo their work schedule. They're still coming in at the same time, but I had to really structure every single moment that they're there because I found that they were getting really comfortable and not really putting enough effort into the job that I needed them to do, which is why I hired them to continue on with some summer work that we have going on. So I restructured their day, and it seems to be going okay now. And they've been doing that today would be their second day that they've applied this new schedule, and I'm very pleased. I don't have to really hover as much to make sure they're keeping on track of their work. And as a supervisor, as a manager, I don't know if a lot of people really like hovering. I, as an employee, do not like hovering, so I feel like this kind of gives them a little bit more independence, but gives me the confidence that they're going to stay on top of their work. Because at first, when I assigned them some tasks to do and said, okay, here's the game plan for the summer, these are the projects I have, please, alternate who's going to be making sure patrons are handled and then who's going to be doing these projects, and you switch off so that you're both not just here sitting waiting for somebody to ask you for help during the day, which during the summer is almost unlikely because it's very, very slow on the customer service front. So we have a lot of duties to complete during the summertime. So the fact that they were both kind of just hanging out and not doing anything was really discouraging to me as a manager, because we're all supposed to be putting in a lot of good quality work, and I wasn't seeing that. So hopefully the next few days they get used to this new routine and don't need me to guide them as closely as I had been before. And that gives me time to work on my projects, because I have a lot of things I'm doing that don't involve them that I need to have completed before it gets busy again with our patron traffic. So it's really just, they're there to help me, but I really need them to stay focused. So let me know in the comments, are you a manager or are you managed by somebody? What is your work style? How best do you perform at your job? And what do you do? I would reveal more, but for privacy reasons, I'd like to just keep some of that under wraps right now until maybe later I might reveal a little bit more. But for right now, for my safety and protection, as we all know how crazy the internet can be, I would prefer not to spill all of the beans at this point. If you can respect that, I definitely appreciate it. But I will say that there are a lot of things that happen at my job, some good, some bad, but that is the way it is with a lot of places. And I'm fortunate that I can come home at some point and sit down with you guys and enjoy some knitting. So is this your stress reliever? I just find that I can get really in the zone, which is why I like to take it with me to work and work on it a little bit during my lunch break, and then with other people at my job who also enjoy knitting. And there's actually a lady at my job. They just moved over to my building, and she saw me knitting at lunch and was like, oh yeah, I have some needles, but she doesn't know how to knit. So I was like, yes, please bring your stuff in. There are several ladies that work directly with me, and we all knit, and I'd love to show you how. I mean, of course I always say these aren't tutorials here, but I could definitely get somebody started knitting, I think. At least from what I've learned, I think I can at least pass that on to someone else. So I'm almost at the end of my round now, and I'll show you again where I am. But yeah, I was also kind of hoping that today would have been a free day off because it's quiet at my job and so many people took today off anyway. It's been kind of dead today. And I went out to lunch with a couple of my coworkers, and even the restaurant we went to was really dead. And I left my knitting at home because we had already planned to go out to lunch today. So we all were like, yeah, we'll come in. It's not a free day off at that point. And I was waiting on Wednesday before I left to see if an email would come in from the big boss to say, guys, you don't have to come in on Friday. We'll count it as a free holiday. And I don't think they've done that like once in like the history of my job, is what I've heard. It's only occurred once where it was a very long break and they honored a few days off between the holidays, but other than that, if it falls on a random day in the week, especially if it's a Thursday, it's like they don't want to give you the Friday. So, oh well. Okay, so at the end of my rounds, and you'll see again, we have this stockinette right here, and we have this 1 inch of rib here, and this is the cuff, and then this is going to be the body of the hat. So we'll just keep on going. And this, like, I mentioned in another of my videos, maybe a couple of them, that I do get, I wouldn't say entirely bored with knitting, but if the pattern is just row, 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 and nothing really cool or interesting, sometimes I get a little bit tired of the pattern. But for some reason, just knitting in a circle is really satisfying to me, and I can just keep doing that a lot. So I like hats for that reason. I can just knit in a circle, and when I get to a normal sock or a vanilla sock, hopefully I can continue to just knit in a circle for those too until I do like the heel turn and all that. The pattern that I have been working on, the Ray Light socks that I have the part 1 and part 2 videos of on the playlist, are very tricky, I would guess you'd say. There is a little bit of a jump in the variation of the pattern when you're making like that garter stitch on the front, like that's gonna come down the front of the leg and the foot. But other than that, and then remembering all the little steps to actually shape the sock, it's pretty okay. But it is a bit challenging because you can't just knit in a circle for that one because of that garter stitch pattern, and then making sure you're doing your decreases and your increases and all that good stuff. So that pattern isn't quite as relaxing as just knitting this hat in a circle. And then the blanket or the doggy sweater that I am working on still, those are kind of like okay, but they're not in a circle. So I think it's because I have to turn it where I'm just stopping in the middle of my pattern and not just continuously doing like one little loop, is where I'm getting that sense of unrest. I don't know. Can you explain something like that about your own knitting and what you like or dislike about the, I guess you could say, the monotony or not of it? Like, do you really like complex patterns where you're constantly looking at your chart or your instructions, or do you like stuff like this where you're just kind of knitting seamlessly around and around and around until you get to a certain length and you have so long to go before you reach that point that you're just kind of zoning out, kind of thinking, meditating, something like that? Let me know in the comments. And I want to say, one of these days I'm going to have a mic. I bought one and it came in the mail, but it doesn't work with the I guess the in-house or the standard video recording software that I have on my phone. Like, I'll plug in the mic, I'll talk, I'll play it back, and I'm only picking up the internal microphone and not the one that I've plugged in. And I've tried it on my computer and it doesn't work there either. But if I use a audio recording app that's just for audio, not for visuals, it works. And my partner tried on their phone with the video recording software and it didn't work there either. So I emailed customer support and they just told me to troubleshoot it, which was the way that was written on the instructions that it came with, and it still didn't work. I'm like, okay, well, I already did this before I contacted you, but they just told me to do the same thing, so I was like, yeah, whatever. So I was a little bit sad about that because I was really hoping that, especially like today when I'm running the fan, I'd be able to talk in a normal voice instead of yelling and yelling so that you guys could hear me. But one day soon, my partner was suggesting a Yeti. Maybe, I don't know if you guys know or not, but I guess it's a brand of microphones. And I'm not sure how to hook it up to my phone. I might have to get some kind of fancy camera and record it with that, but it's still under investigation. So I doubt next video, because I'm actually hoping I can plan to do some recording tomorrow morning before it gets too hot again, and maybe even Sunday, we'll see. But I want to make up for not doing it on Thursday, and I had really hoped to have something on Thursday recorded. And Friday, I don't know if I did record it last Friday or if it was just on Saturday, but double up, triple up. Maybe do 2 tomorrow, 1 in the morning, 1 at night when it's cooler, and see how things go. But I can't make any promises because I tried to do that last time and I did not keep my word. So hopefully more than one video will be ready and made this weekend. So I mentioned earlier my 4th of July and how uneventful it was. What did you guys do? Let me know in the comments how your 4th was. Are you in the U.S. and do you celebrate, or was it just another day for you? Or, you know, does it not really have that much significance because you are just not really into it or don't feel like it applies to you to celebrate? Let me know. Just let me know what you did on the 4th. Was it a regular day or did you do something? And I want to say that I finally got notice that my payment was received by Knitpicks, and I was so sad when I went to buy my yarn stuff because the book sale I'd mentioned in a previous episode, I said that if you spent like a certain amount of money, and it actually was $25. If you spent $25, you were going to be able to get a pattern book for free. And that offer was separate than the regular sale, and that offer expired on June, I think it was the 27th of June. And I had already spoken about it, I think either the day it expired or very soon after that or before, but it was like really close to the time when the offer was over for the free book. And so I go to the website and I look again at the promo code that was in my email about it, and yep, I saw fine print at the bottom. It said expires June, I think it was like 27th or 28th, and I was like, oh, I missed it. I was so sad. But I ended up getting some things anyway, and I'm hoping my next email I get will say, your package has shipped. But considering it was a really big sale, they might be taking a little longer to process all of the orders. So we'll see. Maybe next week. But the last time I ordered from Knit Picks, it did take longer than like your standard big name vendor, I would say. Like, of course, if it's not Amazon Prime or like some super special delivery, you aren't likely going to get it within 2 days or fewer. But other things I order are usually within the week of when I place the order. Even with sales, except for like really, really big holiday sales. So maybe this is one of those cases. But either way, I'm so excited for when that comes because I really want to do an unboxing with you guys. I didn't get anything too fancy or crazy, but if you like watching other people open up presents, which is something I like, then you'll have to stick around for when I upload that and go over everything. Because it'll be a first time experience to see what I actually purchased as well. I mean, I know what I purchased, but to actually see it in person and open the box and all that good stuff. So that'll be coming whenever I get the items. We'll have a video come up for that. I feel like there was something else. Oh, last weekend when I mentioned before that I was going to a barbecue. And yes, it did rain. And it rained hard, but it wasn't too bad. It was like sprinkly. It was a really cloudy day, really windy, but it wasn't hot. I mean, it was hot, but the breeze was okay. And we ended up having the barbecue in the host's garage. He has a 3-car garage, and it's mostly used for working out, and I think maybe some storage. I don't think they park, I don't think he and his wife park their cars in it, but whatever was in there was pushed back to the wall, and the grill master, who was not actually the host, was kind of like right under the edge of the roof of the garage so that he wasn't getting wet, and the grill was like sticking out, of course, so not to like cause any smoke inhalation problems with it. But it was like just outside on the driveway, and then he was inside, and there was a table where he had all his stuff set up, and then further back there was the table where all the food was going to be. And then there was still room for chairs. That was pretty crowded, and I don't think there were enough chairs for everybody, but for the most part there was a pretty good amount of seating considering how many people were kind of coming in and leaving throughout the day. And there was so much food. The grill master made, if you eat meat or not, they had a variety of things because there were different nationalities, different cultures there that either do eat meat or don't. So there were veggie burgers, there was grilled salmon, and then they had regular beef patty burgers that were made or like mixed up and formed from scratch. And the seasoning was really good on that. I just had a burger and chips and LaCroix, and then my partner had 2 hamburgers and salmon, and the grill master made crepes after that. So like after you stuffed yourself silly with like the main course, then he's like, who wants crepes? And I'm like, what? So there were like Nutella crepes with strawberries and raspberries and bananas inside. And of course you could choose like to not have any of those things, but they were sweet crepes. And so my partner ended up getting the works and was so full. They didn't finish the whole thing and they were trying to get me to eat it. I was like, I'm good. Like I ate a little bit before the before leaving there before going to the barbecue, because I wasn't sure like how long it was going to be. I wasn't sure what all the, I mean obviously burgers, considering it was a primarily omnivore event, but for the most part I was like, well, you know, I don't know how long we're going to stay, I don't know how much I'm going to eat, I'm not going to know if I'm going to want to eat anything because I don't know the menu. So I had something before we left, so I wasn't super hungry. Then while we were waiting, I ate chips, and then I had chips some more with my burger, so I was pretty okay. Like I wasn't super full, but I wasn't like starving, and I wasn't like so stuffed that I was just gonna like keel over. And so I just didn't feel like overdoing it that night. So I declined the crepes, and then after the crepes, the grill master was making espresso. Well, he's making espresso with the crepes, or you could have a latte or something too. And I was just like, this is crazy. And after that, and everyone's just chatting and having a good time, relaxing, they sliced up some watermelon, and then they were trying to get people to eat the watermelon. And this one guy was like, we just ate crepes, like I can't eat anymore. And yeah, it was intense. I hadn't been to a barbecue like that before, where there was like several courses. It was usually just like everybody brings a dish, there's one person grilling, usually the host or maybe some friends, but the host like did not touch the grill at all at this party. So that was like interesting to me. And so we stayed for like 4.5 hours, and funny enough, one of my partner's friends was there, and he was there with his wife, who used to be his girlfriend, and they got married some time ago. And my partner and this guy like just kind of like petered out, like they weren't like super friends anymore, and it had been a long time since they linked back up. And now the host of the party kind of like has with the gym equipment that's in that garage, they meet up a couple times a week and just work out. And through the host of the barbecue, my partner found out that he was still in touch with this other guy, and so they've been, you know, hanging out a couple times a week and everything. And so at the party, the guy brought his wife, and I'd only met her one other time, and we just, you know, made some small talk and stuff, nothing crazy, nothing super intense or anything like that. Then we got, I don't even know how, but we got on the topic of anime. Oh no, that's right, because the friend asked me what I'd been up to, and I said I hadn't been reading much except for just for my book club, and I was talking about my book club, and it happens to be based on you know, comics and stuff. And she's like, oh, well, that's interesting. And so I was just chatting with her a little bit more about it, and she might be coming to book club next Sunday with me, or at least we'll meet up there, but I haven't checked in with her since. We exchanged numbers and everything, and I told her about the book club and where it is and who all goes, and just a little bit about the group of folks who usually attend, like the regulars. But I don't know. I mean, it's a lot to kind of get into to start out. But if she comes, she comes. If she doesn't, she doesn't. But I think it'd be cool if I could say, yeah, I got somebody to come. Like, I was recruited. My former coworker was the one who clued me into the book club. And I've been going for almost 4 years now. Oh my gosh. No longer than that. I think I started going in 2014. Oh, Lord. Anyway. So it's about that time for me to call it evening. I've knit some more. We're not quite to the end of my round yet. There's my stitch marker, and here I am. So there's still a lot of work to be done, but I need to put that AC in before we all catch on fire over here. And I know my cats would love to have it, and I know my partner has been kind of looking at me like, when are we going to do it? And I said, after I finish filming this video, we can go and install it. I'll change into my scrubby clothes so I can get dirty and fight the spiders that are in the basement and get this thing installed before the next 2 months are over and it's winter again. So, you know, I'm hoping that I'll be privileged enough to have central AC at my next home, because I used to have it for 2 years at one of my older apartments I rented, and it was the best. If you have central air, you're like the luckiest person in the world. If you have central air and you have a dishwasher, you're like a king or a queen or somebody super set, because those are like, oh, and an in-unit washer and dryer. Those are like the 3 things that are my ideal checklist. And my partner probably would prefer to have parking, but, oh, and of course cats. Cats have to be allowed. Maybe even no pet limit or fee or whatever. But enough about that. Anyway, I'm going to have to head out now so I can continue on with staying cool, or as cool as I can. And I hope to see you guys the next episode I upload. And if you stayed this far, thank you so much for watching until the end. And I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.